All right, so I wanted to take a minute to just touch on how a difference in frequency contributes to a difference in how someone processes certain other frequencies. Okay, in other words, if someone has a prominent 8 influence at the time, they're going to process 4 energy, 5 energy differently, right, than someone in 7 frequency or with 7 energy heavily influencing them at the time, right? So someone in an 80 cycle versus someone in a 70 cycle are going to be interacting or dancing through the frequencies of 4, the frequencies of 5, very differently. When you understand frequencies, you don't have to rely solely on diagnosis, okay? When you understand that psychosis can be caused by a variety of things, including trauma, drug use, and things like this, right? Diving too deeply into rabbit holes, right? Of information for energy. This is what we're going to talk about. You can understand how certain personality types, different mindsets will be influenced in a way that is not always going to be balanced by certain influences, by certain frequencies. Now, 7 is a realm fueled by chaos, fueled by darkness, fueled by insanity. But it's also the ground for metamorphosis, transformation, reignition of light. Okay? This cannot occur, however, until one has grown tired of this place, until one can now understand the secrets of this place, until one can understand as within, so without. Until someone can understand that their external world remains a reflection of their internal world, they will have no reason to do inner work in order to help navigate them out of this treachery. And until this occurs, until this epiphany happens, right? Until this 40 energy takes place, the way someone dances through the realm of 4 and the realm of 5 while in the realm of 7 can be very hard to witness. Information, when paired with a state of mistrust, a state of delusion, a state of darkness, a state of fear, a state of anxiety, a state of inner turmoil, is going to take on the energy of just those things. So information will worsen the 70 cycle oftentimes, in other words, right? Because you're not processing information in a balanced, logical manner. You're processing information in a state of fear, from a state of fear, from a state of mistrust, from a state of delusion, from a state of feeling targeted, essentially. That is a common occurrence, right, in the realm of 7. Feeling targeted. Whether it's by the government or by other people, it's very much a targeting thing, right? So this whole concept of gang stalking will literally take on a life of its own, okay, when you're in that heavy 70 cycle. And you're pairing it with 4. You're pairing it with new information. You're pairing it with information, especially if they're about conspiracy theories, especially if they're crime documentaries that speak about the possibility of these techniques being used and things like that. And it's interesting because as a healer, one thing you learn is that you cannot just pluck someone out of a delusion in a 70 cycle. You cannot. And you will become a part of the problem, right? All you can do is plant seeds from a very balanced place, but also trust the process, right? Because everything is going to be fueling that, right? So let's get into what I wanted to talk about next, which is going to be the 5 energy influences when you're in a 70 cycle. Trauma, in other words, sends you deeper. Because we're talking about 7 energy, we're talking about the darkness that falls after trauma. So you're already unable to process your previous traumas and then having to endure more because you're attracting them, because as within, so without, you are existing in a chaotic state. You are attracting more chaos. It's like being pushed down and pushed down. lower vibrations. Lower frequencies, right? It's fuel to the fire. So you have to be mindful of that. You have to be mindful of the fact that this is real. This is real. When you're feeling it becomes so real, right? That there's little anyone else can say to discourage those thoughts. And I'm not speaking just from observation, I'm speaking from experience. I've been there. I've lived in that frequency. I've lived in that low vibrational state. I've lived in that delusion, in that insanity, right? I've lived there. Luckily for me, it wasn't permanent. Luckily for me, and it's, when I talk about this, all I can really say is that 4D energy coming in right as that 50 cycle hit prevented another 70 cycle and augmented me into 80. Because I said to myself, I'm stronger than this. Right? When I found my best friend murdered, I wasn't going to turn to drugs. I wasn't going to turn to alcohol. I was going to stand 10 toes down and process this shit. I was going to work through any sort of shadow remaining in here untouched. I was going to touch thoroughly. So my journey is a journey out of the depths of hell. My story, my number system, speaks from both light and darkness because I've been there. And it has to be a very personal walk. So the video I did yesterday where you want to try and rush in and save and take on the suffering of others, you cannot do that, my darling. Will not work. Will not work until someone's tired of being there. Until someone truly craves peace. You must let them remain there. But it is helpful, right, to be able to understand what sort of goggles they're wearing. These are not goggles of strength, peace, balance. They're goggles of insanity, chaos, and fear. And if you can understand that, you don't have to judge. You don't have to judge. You can be there to support, but you cannot fuel them, all this for energy about your perspective and how what they're seeing, what they're perceiving is incorrect. That's not going to work either. It has to be an internal metamorphosis. That is the only way to escape that realm, the darkness of that realm, the depths of it, the grip of it. It has to be a metamorphosis from the inside out, mind, body, and soul, led by spirit. Okay, so if you are enduring something, you have to be able to withstand it and accept the concept or the influence that is divine timing and trust it. Now you might say, well, Demetra, what about free will? And if you understand me and my true perspective, you understand that to me, free will is a cute concept, right? That gives us some sort of feeling of being in control of something we're in no way in control of. But I digress. But let's argue this. You might say, oh, okay, well, you talk about shadow work, inner child work, wound mapping. You talk about ego work, right? So trauma mapping, right, as well. Wouldn't that contribute to helping you shorten that cycle? Yes. But when we're talking about frequencies, my love, we're talking about energies. And it is not typical that someone in a 70 cycle is interested in doing any form of inner work. That's the whole point. But in closing, yes, I wanted to talk about just being aware of the fact that someone in a 70 cycle handles 4 energy very differently than someone in a more balanced state. Okay? Be mindful of that. Be compassionate when it comes to that. Trust the universe. Trust divine timing. Trust the timing of spiritual cycles. Do everything you can to be a positive influence, but do not in any way try to take on the suffering or control someone else's experience. You can't do that. And when it comes to the shifts that take place, they do happen. They do happen, and I'm a testament of that. I was in deep darkness for a long time. And now I'm in a space that I walk around smiling, joyful for no damn reason. Because it's internal. It had to happen in here. And if you have more curiosities about what I mean, maybe, as far as emotional responses, I've done a video. It's on here on my TikTok and other platforms talking about using numerology to hone your emotional responses. Great place to start. Once you start paying attention to your emotional responses, and you start noticing you react differently in certain situations, maybe in a more healthy manner, that's a good sign, right? That's a good sign of a shift from 70 to 80 or from 7 to 8, right? That's a great sign of ascension work, okay? So it's okay to pat yourself on the back. When you notice yourself not reacting toxically like you have in the past, or you notice yourself being more compassionate, more understanding, you notice yourself entertaining multiple perspectives, right? That's for mastery. Okay, and that only happens in a balanced state. All right, that's enough of a tangent. I love you guys. Take care.